Oh, zombie game. Fucking mad, bro. bro left. it didn't block. Okay. Oh wait, I was just invited right away for that. Damn. What's happening? Crazy. One K kills is crazy.
3, 2, 1, fight!
just left me? Bro, what? Oh, no. Hell no. No. Very good teamwork. You don't want to play TDS?
Let me do it on. Bring me reward. Kaya I have my own combo in Sekama. Oh, see it?
Shouldn't have joined him. It's too lag there. Yeah, now that's better. Two back on. Oh yeah, I don't know who it is.
So, I have to my friend.
I want to kill him.
Nah, I'm just kidding. man. The new. Sabi mo, okay.
Come here, bitch.
Come on. He was toxic to you. He said,
Oh, you said no, stop. Where's Karim? No, I'm really wasting my rival tactic.
come on, I'm not taking that. Oh, I got the kill. Huh?
No, what? Report. How is he even my? What? He left? What? Bro just said the N-word, Kenan. Look at this. The hard R. Never mind. Just this.
No.
Still gonna do about it. Oh! So good! You got that counter. Bro left. Gonna kill him. Oh, nah.
Wait, no. No.
Trying to kill me. Oh.
dash doesn't know how to block.
Oh, it's just easy. Display. Jana. Let's get to level 50. What happens if we do squad?
More harder and more dumber.
Okay, now what do I buy? Ranger.
No.
What does this do?
Support. It's a support tower.
It's better than the commander.
No. DJ gives you no discount of the upgrade.
Oh, that's why.
Energy? Fire rate? Right? Now.
I'm a dinosaur. I'm a dinosaur. Play with someone. Sprint, can I sprint?
Yeah.
Play with someone.
Invite me party. I can solo every map. Okay, now go to survival. I said go to survival.
Yeah, this is a rival.
No, survival. If you do
What happens if we do this?
more dumber teammates and more dead ass teammates. That's right.
Let's watch on YouTube.
Wait, did you just? Kuya, more dumber teammates. Why?
Bakit ano yan?
Just one for you. Kuya!
Ano ba yun? What happened?
You didn't invite me!
Kaya kasi, makikinag. Invite. What the name? What the name? Moment.
Come on, this 140. You can add you. The accent level 100. It's a tall motherfucking
Where?
dinosaur,
Nasaan siya?
bro. Here, XX panel. Havelinos. I can
Recreate.
snap.
I'm a dinosaur. Why survival? You know what this is?
Wanna go engineer?
I think that. What the fuck?
Oh my god.
Can how you buy crook bomb? Buy kanan. Wala. Buy kanan.
Saitama and Gojo, two of some of the most recognizable anime characters within this so-called new generation of manga, both with one thing in common. They are the strongest within their verse, with Gojo being the strongest Jujutsu sorcerer within the world of Jujutsu Kaisen, and being able to set an infinity between himself in any given space, and Saitama, the strongest man alive, the man who can end any battle in something as simple as just one punch. This video was requested to me on Cash App, so if you'd like your video idea to be made, feel free to do so, although you're not obliged to. Also, if you're new to the channel, be sure to like and subscribe. It's free and you can always unsubscribe if you feel the need to later. Enjoy the video. Satoru Gojo is undoubtedly one of the most powerful characters within Jujutsu Kaisen. His unique ability, the Limitless, is a testament to his unmatched strength and skill as a sorcerer. This technique enables him to bring the concept of infinity into reality, allowing him to manipulate and distort space at will. While the Limitless is a power inherited from the Gojo family, Satoru was born with the rare Six Eyes, which allows him to utilize the Limitless to its fullest extent. Due to his immense power, Satoru Gojo is widely regarded as the strongest character in Jujutsu Kaisen, granting his spot against the likes of someone like Goku. Go watch that video, by the way. Even the most potent attacks from his opponents are often ineffective against him, as he can easily warp and manipulate space to his advantage. His Limitless technique operates on a similar principle to the paradox of Achilles and the tortoise. In this paradox, the fastest runner can never catch the slowest because the pursuer must reach the point where the pursued began. In the same way, Satoru's opponents can never quite catch up to him or land any meaningful blows, as he can always manipulate space to maintain a distance between them. Alongside his Limitless, Gojo possesses a diverse collection of curse techniques at his disposal. He complements this arsenal with his Limitless ability, which he can use to enhance his curse techniques even further. One such technique that highlights his immense power is called Blue. When Gojo uses Blue, he channels a significant amount of cursed energy into the execution of this technique. This causes the concept of negative numbers and negative distance to come into existence, warping physical space and drawing matter towards an impossible point. The result is a powerful gravitational force that is similar to that of a black hole. The more cursed energy Gojo channels into this technique, the more devastating the damage becomes. The destructive power of Blue is immense, and it can easily demolish entire buildings in a matter of seconds. This makes it a formidable technique that few opponents can withstand. When combined with Gojo's other curse techniques and his Limitless ability, he becomes virtually unstoppable. In the world of Jujutsu Kaisen, the reverse curse technique is a powerful process that allows negative energy to be transformed into positive energy. This is achieved by multiplying two sources of cursed energy together. This transformation allows destruction to be turned into creation and negative energy to be converted into positive energy. Satoru Gojo is a skilled sorcerer who is able to utilize the reverse curse technique to perform his curse technique reversal, Red. This technique allows him to reverse the effects of the strength in Limitless, which normally causes a strong attracting force. Instead, the curse technique reversal, Red, creates a strong repelling force that is represented by a small but extremely bright red orb. This orb embodies the concepts of convergence and divergence, which are brought into existence by the technique. When released, the curse technique reversal, Red, creates a massive shockwave that easily blows away everything in its
I
path.
don't have
This
money.
technique brings the concept of motion and reversal into
Why?
reality, allowing Gojo to manipulate physical space and force his opponents back. It is a powerful technique that allows him to turn the tides of a battle in his favor. Despite its power, the curse technique reversal, Red, also has its limitations. It can only be used for a limited amount of time before it exhausts the user's cursed energy, leaving them vulnerable. Nevertheless, when utilized correctly, this technique can be a game changer in battle and is a testament to Gojo's skill as a sorcerer. The technique known as Purple is created by combining the two cursed energies of blue and red into an imaginary mass that is capable of destroying
stop farming
anything in
now?
its path. Unlike the attraction of blue or the repulsion of red, Purple is an immensely powerful and destructive energy wave that can obliterate anything it touches. It is considered to be Gojo's most powerful technique, as it can reduce any object into nothingness. Regardless of its durability, according to the Jujutsu Kaisen Volume 0, Purple works at the atomic level, meaning that it can destroy matter at the most fundamental level. And while you think this is very impressive given the fact that Gojo is a very strong character, Saitama is just a whole other beast. Though whether Saitama can actually hit Gojo is still up for question. We can get into that a little bit later. One Punch Man is known for his incredible strength and ability to defeat any opponent with a single punch. Despite his immense power, he often holds back his strength in order to make his battles more interesting. However, when evaluating his abilities, it is important to consider only what he's displayed so far, as if you didn't, you'd just be getting into headcanon territory, but you know, he's broken his limiter and blah 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 blah. One notable display of Saitama's power was his Serious Punch, which was able to counter Boros' strongest attack, the Collapsing Star Roaring Cannon. This attack was capable of wiping out the entire Earth's surface. In fact, a guidebook even states that the attack could wipe out the entire planet. And believe it or not, another guidebook stated that it could destroy an entire star. However, this isn't necessarily the most consistent, as we do have two guidebooks stating completely different things, and even in accordance with the anime, planetary is far more consistently the case, making Boros' attack an incredibly powerful and destructive force. Despite this, Saitama was able to neutralize the attack with a single punch. However, this is actual child's play when compared to his fight with Cosmic Garo. One of his most impressive feats within this fight is Serious Table Flip, a technique in which he pulverizes the entire surface of IO with a one-handed gesture. This attack is incredibly powerful and can deal devastating damage to the target, creating debris and a massive shockwave in the process. In addition to its destructive capabilities, the Serious Table Flip is also intended to be disorient and remove the opponent from the battlefield. This technique can be used to battlefield remove the opponent, essentially throwing them off the battlefield and rendering them unable to continue the fight. This makes the Serious Table Flip a highly effective technique for incapacitating opponents and securing a total victory. However, this is also child's play when compared to Serious Punch Squared. It involves Saitama throwing his Serious Punch and Garo copying that Serious Punch and colliding with Saitama, creating what's called the Serious Punch Squared. This punch was so strong that it creates an explosion capable of wiping out entire star systems, possibly even galaxies, just depending on what you think. The force of the attack is said to be so great that it creates a hole in space, leaving no trace of the destroyed cosmos. It's worth noting that the attack is not solely the result of Saitama's strength alone. It's said that he provides only half the force required to generate the explosion. This can be argued against by saying that Saitama grew to a point that he eventually became capable of performing this feat on his own, if you take the graph at face value. Estimating the scale of destruction caused by this attack is a topic of much debate among fans and experts alike. Some believe that the destruction of this was just a few solar systems, while others argue that it could potentially wipe out the entire
Daniel,
galaxy, or multiple
Daniel,
galaxies.
Just playing TBS again. Should I remove my farm? Okay.
Regardless of the exact scale, it's clear that the Serious Punch
But you can
Squared
join us,
is,
after
as of
this.
right now, the largest feat within all of One Punch Man. As I mentioned prior, Saitama's growth speeds up so much that he eventually becomes powerful enough to crack open Cosmic Fear Garo's armor. Even before removing his limiter, Saitama possessed faster than light senses and reflexes, enough to see the back of his own head in the mirror just moments after training. Saitama easily dodges Flashy Flash's surprise attacks despite his killing intent. Flashy Flash has both FTL feats and statements. Saitama casually throws aside Awaken Garo's 4-limbed attack in his final form with just one hand, despite of the massive gap in skill and martial arts between the two at the time. You might be able to argue FTL plus to MFTL for Saitama, just kind of depending on the way you interpret some of these things. Despite Gojo's speed, there are several reasons why Gojo's abilities are not foolproof. In the manga, he is ultimately sealed within the prison realm, a powerful cursed object that can trap anything or anyone within an unescapable pocket dimension. Jaku devised a plan to use the prison realm to seal Gojo during the Shibuya incident, as the strongest Jujutsu sorcerer couldn't be defeated through conventional means. Jaku enlisted the help of Mahito and the other special grade curse spirits to execute the plan. While inside the prison realm, Gojo was able to move around by putting his blindfold back on, as time does not pass within this unique space. The ability to move without time is considered a prerequisite for having immeasurable speed, as it would mean moving in negative seconds. Question then arises, does Gojo possess immeasurable speed? However, the credibility of Gojo's statement is doubtful, as he merely says looks like time doesn't pass here, which suggests that he is speculating on the possibility of time not moving within the prison realm. However, nonetheless, it is worth noting that when Gojo makes statements like this in the manga, he is usually proven correct. Moreover, there is no visual evidence of Gojo actually walking or running around. He is only shown putting his blindfold back on, while technically a form of movement, does not demonstrate actual speed. The statement suggests that Gojo's ability to move inside a space where time does not pass is not very significant, because Geto explains that a person inside the space can still die, indicating that the space is more related to the process of aging rather than the flow of time itself. Additionally, there is a mention of Gojo's reaction speed, which may be related to his ability to move and react quickly. It is not necessarily a demonstration of any type of speed feat, which further suggests that the space is more related to aging than the actual flow of time. Overall, while Gojo's ability to move into space is impressive, it may not be as significant as one initially thought, as the limitations of the space could still affect him in other ways. In addition, it would be inconsistent to assume that Gojo's ability to move into space where time does not pass would mean that he has immeasurable or inaccessible speeds. This is because he was ultimately sealed by his enemies, who were able to calculate his finite reaction time and use it against him. Therefore, it is unlikely that his ability to move in a space where time does not pass is a reflection of this form of speed. Gege Akutami, the creator of Jujutsu Kaisen, has made a statement directly stating that the concept of time not passing in the series is related to the physical flow of time. This is further supported within the manga itself, indicating that the space where time does not pass is a physical location where time operates differently than the outside world. Therefore, it is unlikely that the ability to move within this space is not related to the immeasurable or inaccessible speeds, but rather a result of the unique properties of this space. At the end of the battle between Saitama and Cosmic Garo, Garo realizes that he was in the wrong and begins to explain to Saitama a martial arts technique as he envisions it. Garo describes it as an inescapable set of ever-changing attacks, which he himself has not learned yet, but believes Saitama will be able to master it without the help of God, a being who can manipulate and travel through all of time. Garo also believes that Saitama would not only master this technique, but also improve upon it, as throughout the fight, Saitama had been out-copying Garo. In the world of One Punch Man, martial arts and other abilities are not always equivalent to each other. but Garo believes that Saitama's skill and power make him capable of mastering this technique. Garo's belief in Saitama's abilities is further supported by the fact that Saitama had already surpassed Garo in many aspects of their fight. It's important to note that different series have different interpretations of scaling and power levels, so while this martial arts technique may not be the same as Garo's hacks, it is still a significant skill that can make a difference in battle. In One Punch Man, Garo has a unique fighting style that incorporates all of his previous fighting styles, which he calls his fist. Saitama views Garo's fighting style as using hacks or tricks. Garo clarifies that his style is actually just a combination of various fighting styles, which includes techniques such as the subspace gates or the nuclear fist of gravity fission. These techniques are infused with the hack's abilities and have been implemented to become a part of his martial arts style. During their battle, Saitama copies Garo's hand sign, which causes God to take away Garo's powers. As Garo's powers fade away, both he and Saitama imagine their inner universes within each other and manipulate their inner particles. Garo uses his cosmic hacks to create new particles and anti-particles using cosmic rays, which Saitama also copies. This demonstrates how different abilities and techniques can be combined to create unique fighting styles within the One Punch Man universe. While Garo's hacks abilities may be considered tricks by some, they are an integral part of his fighting style and can be used in conjunction with martial arts techniques. Saitama's ability to copy Garo's hand signs and use it to disarm his opponent shows how different abilities can interact with each other in different ways. After spinning back in time, Saitama acknowledges that Garo's martial arts are incredibly powerful due to their unique applications, then defeats Garo with a punch that was unleashed while Saitama was within the time-altering hacks field. This punch is described as abnormally powered, likely due to the energies that were generated previously. This confirms that the feat was not achieved through sheer speed and cannot be considered a measurable speed. It's mentioned that the same attack was executed on Jupiter's moon of Io, despite the time reversal, indicating that the attack bypassed Saitama and hit Garo while he was within his time-altering hacks field, resulting in the fight being won with 0 punches. The reversal of causality is responsible for the punch appearing to land, even though no actual punch was thrown. This reversal means that the effect occurred before the cause, so the punch had not already happened, but its effect was already evident. This shows that the feat was not achieved through sheer speed, rather through the reversal of causality, leading us to one of the ways Saitama can bypass Gojo's infinity. Causality reversal is a concept in which the cause and effect are switched, meaning that the effect occurs before the cause. In other words, the result of an action happens first, followed by the action itself. During Saitama vs. Garo, Saitama uses causality reversal, as we talked about previously. Saitama copied this technique handed to Garo by God and traversed time and ended the fight before it began, meaning that the effect, the punch, occurred before the cause, Saitama's movement. As a result, Garo was defeated with 0 punches, even though the punch had already landed. This is an example of causality reversal because the effect, Garo's defeat, happened before the cause, Saitama's punch. And because the cause and effect are entirely swapped, the 0 punch is absolutely unavoidable. If Saitama reversed the causality, he could simply hit Gojo without hitting Gojo, thus ending the battle, not only due to the sheer difference in AP and durability, but because of the fact that he can do this. There are some arguments to be made about what it actually takes to bypass Gojo's infinity. One of those arguments is that if you scale above the infinity itself, just for more information, if you can prove that something is both stronger and faster than what Gojo could perceive, then the infinity will be negated. This is mainly because of statements like Gojo's infinity filtering off of mass, speed, and shape. But theoretically, if you can prove Saitama scales above Gojo's infinity, then it would just be negated. However, this isn't necessarily my main argument for the video, so this is mainly for your interpretation. There also really isn't any argument to be made for Saitama being resistant to Gojo's domain expansion, which shoves an infinite amount of knowledge into the target's mind. The only possible argument to be made is the fact that Saitama can maybe just ignore it or something. However, this is a pretty dumb argument, I'm not gonna lie. I think it's very safe to say that the win con for Gojo is to maybe land a domain expansion. However, the sheer difference in speed makes it incredibly hard to even vouch for Gojo. Even attacks like Hollow Purple won't work on Saitama either, as Saitama has resistances to durability negation, and even if you don't agree with this, he'd still outpace Hollow Purple, which you could get to FTL via it being Imaginary Mass, which Saitama far exceeds. Saitama just has more going on for him in everything essentially, which is why he would mop the floor with Gojo. Anyway, thanks for watching, and bye.
Someone goes unconscious. Koji.
Saitama and Gojo. Before the video starts, if you're planning on watching this video and getting angry with the outcome of the video without even understanding what's being said, don't watch the video. Because I'm gonna read your comment and then just laugh at it. So, Goku versus Saitama. One of, if not the biggest debate in the history of fiction, and absolutely the most heated of all time. 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, and a 10-kilometer run every day for 3 years with no AC. Saitama broke his limiter and attained extraordinary strength. However, this doesn't really mean that his power shoots up to infinity automatically. It just means the more he trains, the stronger he can get without any plateau effect happening on his abilities. Saitama, after the breaking of his limiter, was able to one-punch virtually anyone in his verse until he met an unearthly being named Boros, and just like Saitama was incredibly powerful, with Boros being born with abnormal innate potential and developed it during his lifetime. And for the first time, we see Saitama's one punch not work, as Boros is able to take consecutive full hits from Saitama until he gets serious. A viable argument for Saitama's speed comes from being able to surpass Flashy Flash, who was clearly stated to be faster than Light multiple times, and legitimately having light-based abilities, and even someone like Awake and Cockroach, who's been stated to be faster than Light as well, with Saitama scaling over them for obvious reasons. This would put his speed around FTL, and one thing I'd like to mention is Saitama beating Boros, who I mentioned earlier is stated to be star level, doesn't make Saitama himself star level. This would give him star level attack potency, as a character with a certain degree of attack potency can't necessarily cause destruction on that level, but can cause damage on characters like Stance forces. However, for the sake of the video, we'll be granting him star level, which puts Saitama at star level above Light. Until July 2022, the chapter of the Ninja Gaming was released. In this new chapter, we got to see Cosmic Ninja fast with the Light, Flash, and Flash, as well as Garo splitting a continent-length monster in half, even its Gamma Ray burst. With even Blast joining in on the fight, we got to see Saitama's true power, where he and Garo nuked an uncountable amount of stars, putting him anywhere from multi-solar system level to multi-galaxy. However, we don't actually know whether these two clashing actually destroy these stars or push them in a further direction, as there's nothing to even solidify the statement of this quote-unquote galaxy-busting feat. But again, I don't want anyone to comment like I'm trying to lowball Saitama, so for this video, I'll be saying he's multi-galaxy level, as that's the most logical highball interpretation of his power. Saitama also sneezes away Jupiter, which holds the mass of over 1,300 Earths, solidifying his planet-busting capabilities. And as I said earlier, this is confirmed to be Saitama's max performance, as shown with this scan here. A common misconception is that Saitama isn't using his full power because he's using one hand to fight Garo. However, this would only give Saitama a handicap as far as his fighting capabilities, and not his actual power that he's releasing with each attack. During his fight with Cosmic Fear Garo, Saitama grows exponentially as displayed on this graph. However, this doesn't mean he can always adapt to any opponent, as Saitama only grows when he's experiencing intense emotions, which in this case is his rage at Garo due to him murdering Genos in cold blood. Not only this, but during their fight, Garo straight up says he's limitlessly strong. However, this is clearly an overstatement because Garo wouldn't know how strong Saitama is, with Saitama himself stating he's using his full power, which disapproves Garo's previous statement. Using this information, it's far more viable and consistent to say Saitama grows limitlessly and not he's limitlessly strong. But this limitlessly strong statement will be granted to Saitama for this video. So how does this bear up against Goku? Goku and Beerus in the Battle of Gods arc were threatening the entirety of the Universe 7 macrocosm, which contains multiple universe-sized bodies, which are infinite in size, as shown with these scans here on screen. This macrocosm shaking feat is a high universal feat at the start of Dragon Ball Super, Goku performed this feat in his God form that he later absorbed into his base, now being capable of performing that feat in base form. During the Tournament of Power, Goku went toe-to-toe with Jiren, who surpasses Zamasu in his infinite state and engulfed the entirety of Trunks' timeline and even seeped into the main timeline. Goku then proceeds to win against Jiren at full power, and as I mentioned earlier, Goku absorbed his universe-shaking feat into base, and being capable of multiplying his power by many times just by transforming, with Super Saiyan 1 being a 50 times multiplier, Super Saiyan 2 being a 2 times multiplier off of 1, and 3 being a 4 times multiplier off of 2. Which essentially means he's able to become 400 times stronger off his transformations alone, with this stacking onto his godly base form, and this isn't even accounting for his god forms. As for speed, Goku is far beyond the speed of light, traveling through hell, which is calculated at 4.38 quadrillions of times faster than light itself, and this was during the Buu Saga. I've seen people downplay the speed of Dragon Ball characters by saying that Dispo was only the speed of light, and the idea of Dispo being the only Dragon Ball character to move at the speed of light, or surpass it, is a misconception that comes from how his high speed mode, or his sometimes translated as super light speed mode, or something else along the same lines. The speed of light is not specifically referenced in the original name of the technique, and even in OG Dragon Ball, Goku as a mere child was shown dodging lasers. He isn't aim dodging as shown in the second scan, he's clearly upside down and not moving when it's fired. A laser will travel at the speed of light shown with this calculation, and a laser is only light, so it travels at the speed of light. Goku in Dragon Ball was able to dodge Tien's solar flare, an attack that is pure light, and has enough time to get Master Roshi's glasses and then dip. So Goku as early as before Z is faster than light itself. Goku in the Frieza saga escapes Frieza's imprisonment ball, which is described as a paralyzing light with his sheer speed. So Goku in early Z is FTL plus and far faster than light in Super Saiyan, which is a 50 times multiplier. The question then isn't can Saitama beat Goku, but it becomes can Saitama beat Buu Saga Goku? Or Cell Saga Goku? Hell, can he even beat Frieza Saga Goku? With Buhan screaming so hard that he began to create distortions in the space around him, eventually covering the entire living world and eventually wiping out the universe. This scream was actually concentrated by Buhan, and Vegeta just straight up tanks his dimensional tier attack, with Super Saiyan God Goku at the start of Z being stronger than this Vegito. Then there's Perfect Cell being stated to have infinite power, which by One Punch Man fan logic means true infinity, and Goku embarrassing Cell in the afterlife in the next arc of Z. So no, Saitama doesn't have a chance at beating Buu Saga Goku, let alone full power Goku from the current ongoing Dragon Ball Super manga.
Damn.
And just to get these arguments out of the way, people claiming that he's a gag character or something are just stupid and aren't actual watchers of the anime. A gag character is someone who is unbelievably powerful for comedic effect. Saitama beating someone in one blow isn't funny. Arale, a real gag character because she's stated to be one. She splits the earth in half in one scene and it comes back together in another. A show having comedic scenes doesn't make the character a gag. And if we want to get technical, Goku is more of a gag than that. There's a manga where the dude splits the manga open, which if I wanted to wank everything like these super OPM fans, I could just say that makes him far more powerful since his attacks would be breaking the verse he lives in. And I'm aware that some of you like to bring up low-end feats like Goku getting shot by a laser. So let me just remind you, Saitama couldn't catch a fly. Goku got hurt by a rock, but Saitama got scratched by a cat. So, yeah. Goku in OG Dragon Ball as a child was able to mimic Master Roshi's Kamehameha wave just upon witnessing it. And this isn't because Goku is an alien or a gag, because even the other characters like Tien are able to do the same thing later on. Goku being able to master and learn styles that would take an average fighter decades or centuries to learn in just a few seconds. And this is also shown when he joins the Otherworld tournament, where he fights warriors with much more experience than himself, just for him to adapt to them in a few moments. And the famous technique, Kaioken, is a technique no one has even learned, and Goku learned it relatively quickly. Hit, a 1,000-year-old assassin from an entirely different universe, who can literally skip through time and one-shots Vegeta in his blue form, who scales above Goku's high universal god form from the first arc of Super, just from targeting his pressure points alone. In the first encounter in the Universe 6 tournament, Hit isn't allowed to go all out and kill him. However, the next time they fight,
Despite Hit's hack's abilities in his fighting intuition and precision, Goku is able to counter Hit in his base form, despite the 1,000 year difference in experience. Goku then straight up tells Hit that he's predicting him so that he'll time skip and change up to no avail. And Goku is still able to anticipate Hit's movements. And Goku has trained for longer than Garo has been alive. With multiple mentors, including literal martial arts gods, he has fought dozens of opponents from all over the multiverse, analyzing and learning their fighting styles in short periods. He learns techniques that took decades to develop in mere seconds. And the reason I'm bringing up Garo is because of the argument that Saitama is more skilled than Garo, and people for some reason think that Garo is more skilled than Goku. This argument is wrong on so many different levels, and isn't valid, as Saitama himself stated that he's so much stronger than everyone else that his skill doesn't matter. And even in an arc entirely centered around Saitama learning martial arts, he legitimately gets depressed because he doesn't understand it. Saitama's the same dude who can't even play sports because it's too much and only runs. Immeasurable speed is a form of speed above that of infinite speed, and many people like to believe that Saitama using this time travel technique to spin himself back in time is a form of immeasurable speed. However, Garo himself even states that this is done by a technique that allows him to use abilities that a average character wouldn't do. And there's speculation about Saitama potentially losing this power after he went back in time, which is interesting. However, using this immeasurable speed feat as an argument for Saitama isn't really viable, as the exact same argument can be made for Goku. In the anime, it is either stopping or skipping through time, and depending on which way you believe, Goku will have a form of infinite speed, because he's essentially moving without time, which, according to the speed formula, speed equals distance divided by time. If there's speed yet no time, then Goku is essentially traveling into the future, creating a form of immeasurable speed. However, just like Saitama's feat, this can be disapproved by the manga, where Hit's abilities only work on those weaker than himself, meaning that Goku can overpower Hit's time skip by simply being stronger. And there's also that Goku scales above the likes of Infinite Zamasu, who's a being that engulfed an entire timeline and more. And during the Tournament of Power, Jiren merely walking alone shook the whole world of Void, which is a world empty of time and space with infinite nothingness. Another feat that is being used to wank Saitama is his hyperspace kicking feat. Not only is this not true, because in the official Viz translations for this chapter of One Punch Man, Garo straight up calls these portals a subspace gate, and although this is Viz who aren't 100% correct in their translations all the time, let's say for a second that this is in fact a hyperspace gate, which still wouldn't make him 4-dimensional. Interacting with a portal is not higher dimensionality, and it's not even close, and in order to prove that, you would need a lot more evidence. And if you've ever read any other series besides One Punch Man, touching hyperspace is common. Hyperspace is an incredibly common term in loads of science fiction works that has loads of different meanings. Hyperspace portals are temporal dimensions. There's nothing implying them to be spatial dimensions. Just because he can grab these portals doesn't mean he's higher dimensional. And the statement that he can touch hyperspace gates is a non-physical interaction rather than a higher dimensional feat, which is heavily supported by him actually interacting with Phoenix Man's spiritual space dimension, which is called non-physical. Using this hyperspace feat isn't viable in any way, as 11 from Stranger Things would be 4D using this logic. Would Jedi and Sith Lords be 4D because the Force is able to manipulate hyperspace? For anyone saying he's 4D for the hyperspace feat, just remember base Momoshiki created a whole 4D alternate dimension, as it was also called a hyperspace. This would also make Garlic Jr. a 4D being. Overall, opening a portal through hyperspace is generic, and my overall point is just that hyperspace feats don't make you 4-dimensional. I saw someone in the comments say something really stupid, like Saitama doesn't take damage or something like that. I'm not even joking. Not only is this just factually incorrect, because there's evidence of him straight up just taking damage. In the webcomic, Boros mentions he got a response, and Saitama is visibly affected. The manga version shows it much the same, in some versions explicitly stating that Saitama took damage. Regardless, Boros clearly made some impact, even if it wasn't significant. It's obvious that Saitama doesn't have infinitely high durability or anything. And during his fight with Cosmic Gear Garo, he just blatantly takes a hit to the face and spits out blood. So I don't really know what this argument is. Saitama can time travel. Could he just one-shot Kid Goku? Well, yeah, he absolutely could. Unless you want to use the gag argument like Saitama fans would use. And Saitama would get railed by this child. I'm joking. That isn't how time travel works in Dragon Ball. It won't affect the present. It's also completely out of character for Saitama. Like, why would he run from a fight? It's fine to have Goku act like an actual goofball in your hypothetical scenario, but Saitama is going to do something that he's only ever done once after the fight ended. Saitama has to sit there and concentrate to do time travel. And guess what happens when Saitama squats to perform his time travel technique? So in conclusion, Saitama's biggest feat that would scale him to multi-galaxy is an actual headcanon and can't even be proven with actual statements. And when he can prove that Saitama can destroy a single galaxy, we can talk about him giving Cell Saga Goku a light warm-up. But until then, Goku violates. However, at the end of the day, these two characters are from their own respective universes where they're the absolute GOAT. And if this video offended you in any way somehow, I'm sorry. Both of these series are incredible in their own ways. But Saitama in his current state cannot beat Goku, but who knows? Maybe one day he'll do some crazy feat that'll make everyone be like, yep, he beats Goku. And if there's one thing I ask of you, if you're a die-hard Saitama fan, it's alright. If you want to leave why you disagree with this video in the comments, it's absolutely fine. Just don't go starting World War III. And with that out of the way, bye.
Imagine you just finished watching Dragon Ball, a series about a boy named Son Goku who lived in the woods not having any social interaction, to the final episode of Dragon Ball Super where he enters the realm and that of the gods themselves. Goku obtaining this power and potentially even surpassing it might raise many questions. Kratos, the protagonist of the God of War franchise, who is notorious for his ability to defeat divine beings in combat, and even just straight up kill them, despite their immense power.
Hi, I'm Lethal Shooter.
And I'm Gabby Williams. Check out our exclusive coaching sessions in the new Jordan brand space on the Nike app.
Not even a challenge.
Naruto is, as we all know, the main character of the manga and anime series Naruto. He's determined and somewhat goofy. He aspires to be the Hokage of the Hidden Leaf and protect everyone he loves. Starting out as a loser with nothing to his name, he becomes a child of prophecy with everything to his name. This, of course, is just the surface of his character versus Luffy. Luffy is primarily characterized by his incredible stupidity and his incredible determination. While being very simple-minded, Luffy will rarely give up on a goal he has set. Luffy is the pirate captain of the Straw Hat Pirates. Ever since he was a child, he dreamed of becoming a pirate and eventually the Pirate King, who to him is the freest man on the sea. The mangaka for Naruto and One Piece are well-known friends. Oda and Kishimoto's hit manga were both serialized within the same magazine, and the two have revealed in interviews that they've been in contact. In fact, way back in 2013, Oda was hospitalized, and while he was there, Kishimoto visited him and helped him out, even witnessing the creation of the Dressrosa arc. Why am I bringing this up? Well, because no matter the outcome, whether Luffy wins or Naruto wins this matchup, both of these characters are legendary in their own ways. And let's be real, both Naruto and Luffy would just be like, feast on meat and ramen. But how would they do in a brawl? Before I get into the scale itself, keep in mind that the Earth in One Piece is far larger than our own Earth. This is kind of a comparison for reference. Now, I'm not going to try to give you an exact measurement for the One Piece Earth, but it is definitely several times larger than our Earth. For example, it is explicitly stated that the Sandora River that crosses Arabasta is 50 kilometers wide, which is calculated to be larger than the size of India, with a square mileage of 1.269 million. And according to Google, the Earth has a square mileage of 197 million, which would mean that our Earth would only be able to fit about 150 of these. And this island isn't the largest in One Piece. It's a very comparable sized island, with multiple islands being relative in size or bigger. Now, it's also stated that the total amount of islands within the One Piece world is anywhere from 10 to 20 million, which is absurd. Obviously, each island isn't the same size as Arabasta, but you can somewhat get an idea of how big the world is. It's also shown that this world has multiple moons orbiting it. You get the picture. Larger planet, more than likely several times larger, which is why I think this image is accurate with its size scaling. But what relevance does this have? Well, an island level feat in One Piece verse would be more like continental, and something like country level when you're lowballing it. Let's start off with Rio Hockey.
Ryu Haki allows for a more refined control of one's airman Haki. Users can manipulate the literal Haki itself, instead of using it for just hardening. As an example, the Haki can be projected outside the user's body and can be used in various ways. One of which can be creating an invisible barrier between the user and the opponent. This is basically what the three admirals did to project their Haki to create a force field shielding them from a shockwave. Luffy also attempts this against Big Mom in the very similar way that the admirals did, and could also fly because he can control the flow of Ryu and can control himself using the aura. Anyone who can use Ryu can also project Haki to make energy blasts that kind of look like shockwaves while stealing damage and knocking back the opponent. Luffy also liquefied someone's internal organs, which in itself would make this durability negation, though I don't think this would work on someone who's significantly stronger, like say Saitama for example. It also had the power to destroy an indestructible sea stone collar. The reason I don't scale Luffy using the has the power to destroy the world statement is because this is a very clear example of hyperbole, but could mean he'll sink all land masses with earthquakes, so technically destroy the world, which is supported because no one is really terrified of Whitebeard destroying stuff himself, but of his quake fruit, hence why Blackbeard wanted it. Which is why I think Planetary might just be a high ball for Luffy, but Island Level in my opinion is a low ball, and would be taking everything at face value. Most consistently, Luffy should be at bare minimum multi-continental, and if you're taking Whitebeard's statement at face value, then he'd be capable of destroying the planet that far exceeds the mass of our own Earth. And I already went over the size of the planet, but it's still going to be very contentious. There are arguments that can actually get the mass to be the size of Jupiter, which holds a mass of over 1,300 times that of Earth, or even as large as the Sun, as crazy as that may sound. Now, these aren't baseless implications, as I went over earlier, but I think that if you're highballing the size of the planet, Jupiter's size should be the stretch of the argument itself. And if we grant Whitebeard the feat of being able to destroy the entire planet and highball the mass of the One Piece Earth to be the size of the Sun, Whitebeard would be star level in terms of destructive capabilities, and current Luffy does indeed scale to this pretty clearly. Over the course of the voyage in the Grand Line, he developed techniques he calls gears to utilize his Devil Fruit to combat stronger opponents, such as speeding up his own blood flow to increase his speed or enlarge his bones, as well as his muscles for more powerful strikes. In the fight against Kaido, Luffy tapped into what is his strongest form of all time, and supposedly him at his current peak. Gear 5. Luffy is afforded far greater strength, speed, and durability than those with unawakened Zoan powers. He gains enough strength and speed to match and eventually overpower Luffy's own awakened Zoan form without getting serious against him. Now, the multiplier for Gear 5 is unknown, though as I mentioned, it clearly made him a lot stronger. Another thing that is pretty blatant is Luffy's Toon Force. Luffy very clearly has Toon Force, it's not even an arguable thing. He's able to make Kaido's eyes become all cartoony, straight out of a comic strip. At this point, it's genuinely arguable for Luffy to have extremely low levels of reality warping, though as I said, extremely low levels of it. I mean, he can't even blink away my boy Naruto. Bro's able to pick up a ceiling and reflect a beam with it, which doesn't even make sense. However, this is the same case as Saitama and his gag-like abilities. This very clearly doesn't make Luffy above the tiering system or something like that. He has comedic and cartoonish moments, something that a lot of characters in a lot of different franchises have. Not everything Luffy does is like this. My point being that Luffy cannot just go out and one-shot fiction. And this is especially the case for cross-verse battles, where if the character isn't entirely built on their gag or toonish moments, then it isn't going to help them win a fight against someone like SpongeBob or Popeye. My main point being that Toon Force doesn't grant Luffy an instant win or anything like that. Luffy is very clearly above Lightspeed just using statements, then can multiply his speed with the gears. There really isn't too much that can be said, other than he's most likely FTL plus, and at the bare minimum faster than light. Using calcs, you can get Luffy to moon level, which is pretty consistent in my opinion. If you want to hear more about moon level Luffy, then go watch Tyler's video on it. He has a pretty good take on Gear 5 Luffy's strength, so that'll be linked in the description, but yeah. Now, one thing I want to get out of the way is Naruto is planetary. Simple as that. Naruto is at the very, very, very bare minimum planetary. It's not a Luffy situation where you have to take certain things at face value in order to get Luffy that high. Naruto is just him. For example, Tsunade was explicitly stated by himself to have the power to destroy the Earth. Then got one shot by Naruto, who wasn't even in his strongest form, Nora's prime. Naruto and Sasuke were able to fight Momoshiki being a being who exceeds the power of Kaguya, the mother of chakra. In fact, apparently Momoshiki is strong enough to make Kaguya want an army to protect herself against him. Now, what I'm going to say is 100% going to be the most contentious part of the entire video, and if you disagree with this portion of it, I will provide alternatives. Kaguya's dimensions are at the bare minimum planet in size. Bare minimum. These are explicitly stated to be a time space. If you know what a time space is, it is the physical universe in which we and everything resides in. And Naruto was able to completely overpower Kaguya multiple times, and just eventually outscaling her in Boruto. There are also statements of Momoshiki planning to indiscriminately eating up all of the star's chakra and even absorb a star, straight up saying that he was going to destroy the entire solar system, and even draining the chakra from beyond the parallel universe he'd constructed. There are also many promotional guides that say a battle in a parallel universe. Saying parallel universe many more times, you get the idea. Then Boruto kills Momoshiki with a Rasengan infused with mostly Naruto's chakra. Another thing I'd like to mention is that according to this guide can actually just split and travel through dimensions, similar to Kamui. And Sasuke was capable of fighting on par with him, which Naruto would scale relative or above him, which would pretty easily get him anywhere from solar system to universal. Baryon mode is a process similar to nuclear fission. Naruto and Kurama's chakra are consumed as raw materials to produce a new type of energy. Baryon mode is so powerful that previous to this Baryon mode amp, Ishiki was able to completely embarrass Naruto and Sasuke. Then Naruto was out here making this guy look weak. This would immediately scale his AP to whatever you believe Ishiki is, which means Naruto would just surpass Kaguya and a Momoshiki. It's also pretty consistent because he was able to completely block Toneri's moon level attack with ease, and as I stated earlier, Toneri states pretty blatantly that he's going to destroy the Earth. Now, the reason why I believe that Kaguya is planetary and Naruto would scale to her, for starters, it is explicitly stated that Kaguya created these 6 dimensions in this data book. And the fact is, even if you think that this was done by a hack, Kaguya would still need enough chakra to create these solar system-sized dimensions, meaning that she would need a solar system amount of chakra, and chakra can be used with any of your attacks, and can actually be used to amplify your actual abilities. So at the bare minimum, Kaguya would have solar system level attacks, and Naruto would scale to it. And whether you choose to believe that Kaguya's dimensions are universal in size doesn't really matter. It kind of just adds on to my point that Naruto beats Luffy. But yeah.
Hey guys, Sayman Speaks here. Before I get into my take, I'd like to say thank you to Toaster for having me on the video. If you're watching this and you're not already subscribed to him, go ahead and do that. Anyways, I'm strongly of the opinion that Naruto wins this fight. Why, you may ask? Because Naruto is universal. Naruto was able to match Kaguya in combat, who is credited to have created 6 dimensions. Many like to lowball these dimensions to planetary, but allow me to...